So this is very exciting because I get to finally interview one of my all-time favorite people in the whole world, Aubrey Harley. And how do I know Aubrey? Is he used to be an educator in our Paul Mitchell schools, and we couldn't wait to get him to be in front of our learning leaders. But I always snuck in Aubrey so I could listen to you because you are just such an incredible, genuine person that I love to just listen to you, even though I'm not a hairstylist. Yeah, I have a license, but that doesn't mean anything. I'm not a hairstylist, but just listening to you and just the art of what you do is just so incredible. And now you've been promoted as not only the regional educational manager, but also the global color educator for L'Oreal. And I'm just so darn proud of you. I've been watching you on social media and I'm like, Aubrey, we need to interview you for our next level podcast. So thank you for being on today.
Thank you so much for having me. What an honor. And I just want to say also, Tina, it has been amazing coming to your schools and sharing inspiration, education, and motivation. One thing I always would say, and you'll hear me say this again throughout our interview, through the podcast, people will forget what you say, they'll forget what you do, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And every time you have made me feel spectacular when in your presence. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm pretty sure everyone else that has had a chance to be in your presence, you have made them feel that way also. So thank you so much.
Wow. I mean, that's how I feel about you, our whole team. So, and I know everyone remembers you that's been with us for the long run, and they remember you. So they're going to be so jealous that I got to spend time with you today. So,
awesome.
So thank you, thank you, thank you. And tell me the journey that it's taken you, because I know you've been in this business for 25 years. And so I'm getting close to the 25-year mark as well too, Aubrey. I know you look 25, but I definitely don't. What's the journey been for you?
Well, I tell you, the journey first started, of course, in hair school. And to make a long story short, we had this competition within the school. And the first place, you get this big, huge, amazing trophy. And all of a sudden, you get this ticket to go to, back then, it was the Davidson's Beauty Show, which is now like the Total Concept Show, Cosmoprof. And so end up going to the show. And I met this amazing, legendary gentleman by the name of Robert Crowmeans. And I was still in school and I was on my way coming out of the bathroom. He was going in. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, he had the cool spiky blonde hair, the leather jacket, the glasses. And I'm just looking, my mouth just dropped. And he was like, how's it going there, young man? You know how Robert talks. I'm like, and I just couldn't say anything. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm just looking at him like, wow. And he says, so are you a hairdresser? And I said, no, I'm just a student in school. He says, yeah. He says, are you here with your school? I said, no, I'm just here alone. I said, I won a competition and part of it was a ticket to the show. And here I am. I don't know what's going on or what's happening. I'm just here. And he says, I'll tell you what, why don't you come on out? And if you're not doing anything, hang out with me. We have a huge rotation show that's about to happen. I'd love for you to be my guest backstage. Come hang out with me and just let me show you around. And I'm like, oh, okay. Had no idea, oblivious who Robert Crowmeans was. And so I stand outside the bathroom. I'm waiting. He comes out. He said, come on, let's go. We're walking through the show arena. And I noticed we could not move 3 to 4 feet, whether everyone was running up to him, stopping him. And during that time, wanted to take pictures. They just want to talk to him. And I'm like, who is this guy? Like, we can't even get to the backstage, right? So finally, we get backstage at the Paul Mitchell show, at the Paul Mitchell booth. And we're in the back room, in the model prep room, at the Paul Mitchell model prep room. So we're in the back, and it was so much energy that was happening, Tina. I'm like, oh my gosh, the models, the makeup, the hair. I mean, things were happening with hair that I didn't even think could be done. So I'm standing there and I'm passing Robert foils and he's doing his thing, doing a little color. Then we walk over and he did a little cutting. You know, just talking to me just made me feel really good. And he introduced me to everyone. Everyone there made me feel so welcome, like I was a part of the family. I mean, I'm like, wow, this is really amazing. So later comes over and real nice lady. I can't think of her name right off, but anyway, she takes my information down. So I give her my name, my address, everything. And I didn't think anything of it, right? And about 2 weeks later, after I graduated from cosmetology school, I get this letter in the mail with the John Paul Mitchell systems. And I'm like, oh my gosh, a letter from John Paul Mitchell systems. And it was almost like you're getting a letter from some Division I school like Princeton or Harvard or something. Like, oh my gosh, it's like, this is amazing. And I knew a lot about Paul Mitchell. I knew it was something like huge because my mother always used the products and I could never touch her products. She always would know when I used her tea tree shampoo and she would flip. So I knew it had to have been something special. So anyway, long story short, I get this letter, I open it up, and it was inviting me to a training in Beltsville, Maryland. Had no idea what's going on. So I sit in there, I fill my car up, and I go to Beltsville, Maryland, and I go to this training. And I'm just a guest. So I sit at the training, and everyone's coming in and all black and sharp and chic. And it was just amazing, right? So, and I had no idea what was going on. And so they had me to get up, the facilitators, they put us in groups. So they had us to get up and we had to tell 3 things about the products, right? What it is, what it does, and how to use it. So I'm watching everyone. So I get up there. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I never did a presentation. I'm fresh out of school. So I get up there and I'm just mimic everyone else. And next thing you know, I was asked to be a part of a show, to come and assist and work a show. And I'm thinking, sure. And all of a sudden, I get a chance. I work my first show. This was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And backstage, I'm there with Robert. I'm dressed in my black and everything. And I'm like, yeah. And Robert's like, yes, you made it. Now it's time to get to work. So I'm back there working. It was Robert Cromines and Jean Bra. So Jean Bra walks over to me and she looks me up and down. I didn't even know who Jean Bra was. I'm oblivious to everyone. I'm just, mind you, I'm spanking brand new. And Jean Bra says, I'm going to need you to come on stage. And I said, go on stage. I started laughing. I said, I can't do that. I said, I'm an assistant. I'm here to shampoo, make sure the room is nice and tidy, take care of the models. She says, no, we'll have someone else do that. You're going to go on stage. And I had no idea. And believe it or not, I did not want to go on stage because I'm like frightened. I'm like, no, I can't go on stage. I'm a newbie. So all of a sudden, I had to go on stage with Jean Bra. I'm on stage with Jean Bra. And, Robert and Jean was in the front. And they had the second line, which was we were right behind them. So they're doing their presentation and everything. So Jean says, Robert, let's go in and see what our second line is doing. So Jean Bra comes back there. She puts the microphone, the headset on my head. She says, so Aubrey, so what are you doing? I don't know what I said or what I was doing, but I just know the whole crowd just bust out laughing. And next thing you know, after the show was over with, Jean comes and says, beautiful, great job. Next time, don't try to steal the show. And next thing I know, it was a gentleman by the name of Frankie Presecuti. He was a regional director for John Paul Mitchell Systems. He walks over to me. He says, you are going to be a star. He tells a few other of the regionals there, get him everything he needs, all the products, everything. This is going to be my guy right here. So I'll tell you that we took the rearview mirror down. It wasn't any looking back. And next thing you know, I'm off to this amazing career with John Paul Mitchell Systems. So that's how it all started.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
What a story. You had this major out of body experience. I've been there, I've done it. And, we know that this was not luck or by chance that any of this happened to you at all. I know this, Aubrey, because people are not going to choose somebody to represent them unless they know that they're ready. And just the fact that they believed in you and you borrowed that belief even through the fear. And I've been there, done that too, Aubrey. But something about you is just really, really special. You have like this incredible discipline about you, and just the fact that you won a competition, obviously you've got some discipline about you, right? And so talk to that up and coming stylist right now? Maybe they're in cosmetology school, or maybe they're a brand new stylist that's just been out for the first, 5 years or whatever. What advice do you want to give to them? Because things aren't going to just be like, you were not lucky. You were chosen on purpose. How can they better prepare themselves now, this day forward, to be in the opportunities that you've had, to get opportunities?
Well, I tell you what, the best thing that I can say, number one, education is definitely going to be key. Understand yourself, the more education that you have, the more confidence that you would have. And just like a good friend of mine in the industry, DJ Muldoon, his famous quote, knowledge destroys fear, that is one of the most truest statements amongst the rest that I've heard. And the reason why I say this, Tina, is because it's for everyone that's listening. The more education you have, the more resources that you have to draw from. And when we talk about education, one of the main things I would start with is understanding your own mindset. You have two types of mindset. You have a fixed mindset, you have a growth mindset. A lot of times we like to be in the fixed mindset because it's easy, it's complacent, it's everything that we used to. So when you shift out of the fixed mindset into the growth mindset, it's a little uncomfortable, but it's okay to be uncomfortable, because one thing about pain and uncomfortableness, it always leaves a beautiful gift behind. That's the great thing about it. And the reason why sometimes it's like pain, I want everyone to kind of understand, it's not a bad physical pain, but just fear itself. The reason why this happens, I want to share this if I may have your permission. A lot of times the reason why we get a little uncomfortable, because in our subconscious mind, if we're trying to do something new for the first time, let's say for instance, let's take something more profound. If it's your first time, you have to take a guess and you have to do a haircut. All of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this haircut. I'm going to mess it up. And I don't want this lady, she's going to be mad. I don't want to look bad. I don't want to get embarrassed. So you put all of this fear and all of these negative connotations on yourself before you get started. The reason why that happens is because in the subconscious mind, it tries to go in and it searches for an experience to attach an emotion to, right? And if we can't find that experience to attach an emotion to, we get uncomfortable because it's nothing to draw from. It's nothing that we used to. So it's like the fear of the unknown. So when we can go in our subconscious and we can go in and find an experience that we can attach an emotion to, it's like, oh, okay, well, I've done this before. I kind of know what to expect. Then you feel a little bit calmer, right? But here is the thing. The great thing is the fear unknown. Go through and get the experience. Experience is the toughest teacher. She always gives the test first and the lesson afterwards. It's okay. So that's the main thing, is your education and understanding your mindset. And just like you said, I believe in one of your books, failure is not fatal. Failure is just a way of saying, hey, it's something that I need to learn. Once you get that lesson, then it's no failure no more, because now you have pretty much conquered the task. The next thing that I would say is dialogue. Definitely go in and be able to increase your dialogue. The stronger your dialogue that you have, the more value that you can add to your brand. It's not so much of what you do, but it's what you say and how you say it. And then last but not least, just like my good friend Win Clayball, just be nice. That's the next thing I'll say. Be nice. Everyone that comes into presence, make them feel spectacular. And how you make them feel spectacular, just something as simple as a smile, a compliment. Hi, how you doing? What's going on in your life? And just listening. Those key things will take you so far, so fast. And just to make it fewer words, more meaning, manners will take you further than money. Always remember that. The more manners that you have, the more polite you are, the more positive energy that you bring into a space that you occupy, you will go so far, so fast. And this is nothing I've read in a book. This is something that I have experienced for myself. Always being nice, having a nice compliment, making anyone that's in my presence feel great about themselves. It just opened up so many doors. And that's what the public and the community wants to be around. So I hope that kind of helped out. I know it's like a big answer, but
Wow. Oh my, seriously, we could just spend the whole hour just on all these few concepts that you've talked about. And I think it really ties in to Sean and I do a 6-month business and leadership course. And one of the months we focus just on fixing your attitude. And so one of those things, and I feel like that just falls underneath there. So I could say fix your mindset, right? But we
right.
fix your attitude. And it really is, mindset is key, and just having a whole different attitude towards anything, towards education, right? And so talk to that student right now in school and brand new stylists that's just like they have that fixed mindset versus that growth mindset. And I've seen it time and time again. In fact, we even have a culture piece that talks about the role that you choose to play. And so it's interesting enough, every business has about 10 to 20% of people that are the visionaries with the growth mindset, right? And then you've got about 80% of the people in any business, any school, that have that fixed mindset, or we like to call them, the fence sitters and the resistors, right? And so what is that shift? Like what advice would you give them right now to move into that right now? And I know you mentioned education, and I love that, because I think a lot of students and brand new stylists, like they're just not showing up. They're not showing up to school. They're missing classes. They're not showing because they're bored, whatever, like what, bored, right? Or brand new stylists, and they're missing their classes. Like, in our salons, we close for one day for training. And I always know it's a red flag if somebody kind of repeatedly starts missing those classes.
Yes.
Kind of
Yes.
talk about that.
So I would say this: try not to let the environment or the situation that you're in right now dictate exactly this is my final outcome, because it's not it. The reason why so many of us, we're in different situations, is because it's something that we haven't learned. Once we learn what we need to learn, then we move on to the next level. So I would say the key word is yet. Yet. So yet is the growth mindset. Okay, guess what? Whether it's hair cutting, whether I'm trying to figure out how to formulate color, whether I'm trying to figure out how to understand and make sense of my journey, even though I'm not making sense of it yet, but eventually I will. One of the best things that I could say is find a mentor. Find a mentor. Find someone that has walked the path, or that's actually being successful at something that you want to do or that you are inspiring to do, and attach yourself to them like lint. You have to stick to them like lint. Check-ins, asking questions, if not just even asking questions, but just, hey, what can I do? Are there any tasks that you can share with me? And once you get this information, that's just part of it. The second part to make it work is make it applicable. Start taking action. It's one thing to receive the information, but if you're not making it applicable or taking action, then what's the point? It's just sitting there. It's kind of like a drink in the refrigerator. If you never drink it, it's just going to sit there, and eventually the longer it sits, it goes stale, and then it gets thrown out and never gets a chance to be used, right? So to that future professional or that student who's ever listening, right now, find yourself a mentor. The reason why I say that you're in the best place that you can possibly be right now, here's something that we don't think of. There are thousands of applications that are coming through your school, just like on a job. And here is an opportunity. You were chosen to be able to adhere to this opportunity. And it's a huge opportunity. And I know it's repetitive day in and day out. Here comes theory. Here comes adaptive cutting. Here comes creative color. Okay, here comes advanced specialty. Here comes the clinic classroom. Here comes the guest. It's like over and over and over again. But here's the thing. The reason why that you are going through the same system over and over again, because it's actually causing you to be a master at what you do. And you know the old saying, it takes 10,000 hours to become a master. At least when you get those 1,500 hours of mastery, now you're able to float and you're able to thrive in the ocean versus survive in the ocean, right? Now, here's another thing. I'm going to share this with you, and I'm going to put myself in your shoes. When I was an education leader at Paul Mitchell Schools, I was at Paul Mitchell School, Charlotte. One thing that I noticed is the education that was coming through was amazing. I actually was a student in the school. That was my mindset. I wasn't a student, but as an educational leader, I put my mindset not to be an educational leader, but to be a student. And all the information, Tina, that came through, I'm like, oh my gosh, one of the biggest tools that we have, and I used to just sing the praises, connecting to my future. It was the holy grail of Paul Mitchell, The Schools. That book, Connecting to My Future, now it's digital. And I used to tell every future professional, read Connecting to My Future 4 times. And I guarantee you, even if you're not going into the cosmetology field, whatever you decide to do, you own the blueprint. And the reason why I would say 4 times, because the first time you read it, 25%, second time, 50%, third time, 75%. And when you get to that 4th time of reading Connecting to My Future, 100%, it's like nothing you can't accomplish. So that's the one thing that I would definitely say. If anyone's out there kind of struggling, trying to figure it out a little bit, is this what I really want to do? I don't want to go to class. Even if you're that salon professional, oh, we have trainings. Why am I going to trainings? Because guess what? You are going to be even better than you were the day before. So one thing that I used to do, I would get up at least about 3 in the morning. I would set my alarm and I would start blow drying my doll head or my mannequin. And the way my mind would work, the reason I would do this, because while everyone else is asleep, I felt as though I'm getting ahead. That's the way I was thinking. So if your salon is closed down for trainings and all the other salons are open and operating, guess what? You are so much further ahead. The reason why, because you're training while everyone else is working. So when you come back to work that next day, guess what? Now you're armed with knowledge and you can have a more stronger impact for your guests.
Oh my gosh, this is blowing my mind. Okay, so now I'm a part of the 5 a.m. club, Aubrey, but I am refusing to be a part of the 3 a.m. club. But but I love that. It's so true. Like, look at what everybody else is doing and then do the opposite, right? That's
Yes,
amazing. And that's you. And now I understand why you're the person you are, because you're willing to do the things that all the unsuccessful people won't do, period. Right? This is why
yes,
10% of the people are making all of the money in our country.
exactly. Exactly. And you know, the thing about it, I would say this too, do not chase money, because when you chase money, it runs away from you.
Yep.
What you do want to chase is education and relationships. Relationships are key. The more relationships that you can form and you have, the more valuable you are. So think about making those connections. And then to have the education behind it, because that's the gel. And the reason why the education is important is just like what's happening now within our podcast. It's an exchange of information. You know, it's kind of like you leave something of intelligence and then you're able to pick up something of intelligence. So it's that exchange that actually keeps the world turning. So that's the one main thing I would definitely say, is to form relationships. Try to have as many great relationships as you can and foster those relationships with the education. Always learn and have something intelligent to bring to the conversation that someone can use to help them get to their next plateau or use as a launching pad to get to the next level.
Oh my gosh. Okay. We need to meet every week. We need to do a podcast every
Let's
week.
do it. Oh my gosh. And I have so much. I'm trying to funnel the information. And that's one thing, Tina, I'm learning, trying to do now is like funnel, fewer words, more meaning. Huge shout out to my good friend, Tommy Callahan, fewer words, more meaning. Funnel, you know, so I'm trying to land the plane. But I know it's a lot of words. So if anyone's verbal linguistic out here, I mean, hopefully this will definitely, you know, help.
Oh my gosh, people they're, the emoji with the mind blown.
Yes,
It's dropping some gold here, right?
yes.
Drop the mic right now. And I love that you said, uh, always foster your relationships and have something intelligent to bring to the conversation. Hello.
Yes.
I want to back up here because there's a couple things I want to unpack with you, because I think a lot of people are confused right now because there's so many people. One, that I think the main thing here is, I'll introduce myself to every brand new class in my schools. I still do that to this day.
Yes.
And I'll ask them, who here wants to own their own salon or business someday? And every hand pretty much goes up now, Aubrey. It's very interesting the type of caliber that we're bringing in. We have a lot of future entrepreneurs, right? And
Yes.
the interesting thing is, as I've noticed, a lot of people are confused. They don't know the difference between a solopreneur, where you only make money when you're doing the work, versus an actual business owner where you can actually make money. And I always like to use the analogy while you're sitting on the beach, right? And
Yeah.
so keeping that turnkey, really scaling your business and really running it that way. And I'll ask them, which one do you want to be? They all say business owners, but guess what most of them do?
What's
They
that?
all go out on their own. And it's so scary to me, Aubrey, with this fact that they go out on their own, because you're saying you've got to, have relationships, foster relationships. Talk about that for a moment, because I've always said one is too small a number to achieve greatness. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. But I feel like there's this flip going on right now in our culture, Aubrey. And so talk to that person right now. What advice would you have?
Do we freeze? Okay, we froze for a minute.
Oh, did we freeze for a minute? Yes.
Just
So
for a minute. Okay, the last thing that I heard was if you want to go fast, go alone.
yes. So yeah, let me go ahead and pause the recording.
This, I would say this can go two ways. One, yes, if you feel as though you want to go solo, go out and go solo, get the experience. Now, think about this. There are going to be a lot of learns and curves along the way. But if you are mentally and physically fit to adapt and look at those curves as a learning process, then go for it. On the other hand, I would say it's always best to have a mentor. Start off in a salon, start off learning from someone that already has a business. Get into a reputable salon, one that has a system and one that has a culture. Those are the two things that you want to look for, a system and culture, when you are selecting a place that you want to be a part of the team. Those are the two things. And learn and watch from the salon owner, learn and watch the ebb and flow. So that way you will have a resource to be able to draw from. You have this blueprint. I know there are a lot of information or resources that you can draw from on social media, Google, but the best experience is to get involved, to actually be there physically and learn. Sometimes perception can either be on or off. If you look at things a certain way, like say for instance, for the ones that decide to go out on their own, I want to be the solo business owner. And let's just say for instance, your first 8 months, you don't make any money. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm not actually making an income. The only income that I have is probably my mother, my aunt, my dad, and a few cousins that are coming in, and they're coming in sporadically, just family, maybe one or two friends. And all of a sudden you look at the end of the month and it's like, gosh, I've spent all of this time in my solo business, but I'm not making any money. Okay, well, guess what? You know what? This isn't for me. Let me try something else. No, that's not it. That's the key that I'm talking about. So you want to ask yourself, what am I doing? What am I missing? What's missing is a mentor. That's exactly what's missing. Someone that you can go and talk to and say, hey, here is exactly what I'm doing. What can I do to be better? And the reason why I say this is because remember this saying, it's very hard when you're on the inside looking out, but it's much more simpler when you're on the outside looking in. So a lot of times when we're in the inside, we really can't see. And you want to be able to work on your business, not in your business. So when you talk about, oh, yeah, I want to be a salon owner. Yes, I want to own my own salon. Well, what are the things that you need? What are the things that you have to learn? I will give you three things, and I know it's a lot more. Number one, you want to learn how to manage space. Number two, you want to learn how to manage inventory. And number three, you want to learn how to lead people. Notice I didn't say manage people. You never want to manage, but you want to be able to lead people. Now, with those three aspects or those three principles, what do you have to draw from? That's where you need your mentor. Always have to have mentors. That's going to be key because it's not going to make it easy. It's going to make it simple. So if that kind of helps out with the question, what do you think?
Wow. Okay. Yes. And I want to unpack that through the conversation I want to have. And I think this is so great what you just said, because the first month Sean and I spent on fixing your foundation, because most salon owners, they're just exactly what you said. They were that solopreneur that happened to open a salon and have more chairs than just one.
Yes.
Right. And so what happened is they're, like quite a few years in, and I'll ask them, okay, so do you have some written systems? What's your culture? And they're like, no, I don't have anything. I have a handbook. Is that what you're talking about? And they'll send this handbook that's super dusty and old and outdated, and they have no written systems, right? And kind of what you were saying earlier, and I love what you were talking about connecting to my future in our schools, which is now business fundamentals, right? And so, is the salon that you're going into, your future mentors to really help you through this process, do they have a program like that of their own business fundamentals as well too? Do they have a system, a written system? And so I love that, because I'll tell our students, ask them, can I see your written systems? Can I see your written modules? What do you have? What do you hold your team accountable to? Because it's so important. I mean, this is what you're getting in our cosmetology schools. We're showing you what you need to look for in the future. And I want to go back, because talking about fixing your foundation, but also fixing your leadership is another month that we spend on it. And you really hit hard on this. And everyone needs a mentor and coaches. I have so many coaches, Aubrey, for every area of my life, professionally, physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually, right? And so starting out with that first coach, who are you going to hire? Like, where are you really struggling, right? And so you also have to have a business coach, right? And so you talk about mentors, because I know people are going to be wanting to reach out to you right away. And people reach out to me all the time, Aubrey, and their follow through is horrible, right? I'll give them a challenge, something to take on, and they do not follow through. And quite frankly, Aubrey, like, I'm pretty busy and I have a lot of people that count on me. And I really don't have time for someone that's not going to follow through or miss a call that I have set up with them, kind of situation. I see where maybe it might happen once, but it happens twice. I think we're pretty much done with this mentorship. So what do you look for as a mentor and a mentee? So talk to that person right now. What do they need to do to really be a great mentee?
So one thing that you can do to be a great mentee, I call it check-ins. Constantly check in. A good friend of mine by the name of, and he was one of my mentors also, Brennan Clayball. And he used to always say the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So the more and more that you check in with your mentor, bug your mentor, whether it's if you're a mentee, constantly texting, constantly calling, constantly emailing, on and on and on. And I know the first thing that being on the other side, you're thinking, well, I don't want to seem like I'm bugging the person. They're going to probably block me. But think about this. Think about the reason why you are constantly and being consistent on trying to touch base. Think about that. So you have a great reason. The reason why, because you want something that they have, and that's their experience from their education. You want that. So it's nothing wrong with that. And if that mentor doesn't reach back, or then, hey, guess what? There are several other mentors that are out here. I myself, I like to be a mentor. I'll just put it out there because my main goal, Tina, I'll say is this. The reason why I have chosen the industry and I found my purpose is to be able to create something, not reinvent, but to show the up and coming next generation that's coming behind us, to be able to leave something for them to either meet the expectation or exceed the expectation. And that's one of the main reasons why I do three things. It's called inspiration, connecting, and education, right? So I call it ICE, inspiration, connecting, and education. And the reason why I try to be an example is because that next generation that's coming behind us, what are we going to leave them? What are they going to have? What's the resource they are going to be able to draw from? When I look at the generation that came before us, we look at the greats like Vidal Sassoon, Paul Mitchell, Vivian McKinder, Frederick Fakaz, Win Clayballs, Robert Cromines. I mean, the list can goes on and on and on. The Stephanie Kachowskis, Scott Cole, Lydia Dichis, and it just goes on. And I look at exactly what they left us. And one thing that they left us is one word, and it was called professionalism. Very, very professional. That was the main thing that I gained is professionalism. Yes, they left a blueprint for hair cutting. Yes, it was a blueprint for hair coloring. Yes, it's a blueprint for dialogue. But one of the main things that was left was the professionalism. So now, and that's what's actually keeping our industry afloat. A lot of times you find that some on another, I would say, plateau, or let's say, for instance, another occupation or someone that's in a different industry, that's a better choice of words. They would look at some hairdressers. Oh, yeah, hairdressers, yeah, you could make it in college and school, so you have to do hair. Well, let me put this out on the podcast while I have a chance. Here's a great thing why hair designers are so valuable and so essential. Number one, we have to know chemistry. Number two, we have to know geometry. Number three, we have to know business. And last but not least, we have to know how to connect with all people that comes from different sides of the track. This is what makes us so valuable. And I read this in Connected to My Future, right? And I'm giving credit to Brennan Clayball. I have to say this. This is what makes us so valuable. Imagine this, 8 o'clock in the morning, you have an appointment. Your appointment, she comes in, she begins to tell you that she was diagnosed with cancer. She hadn't told her husband, she hadn't told her family, anyone. You are her hair designer, she told you. All of a sudden, what do? What do you say to her? And she bawls and just cries in the chair. What do you do? Okay, now, picture this. Your next guest comes in at 10 o'clock a.m. She's getting married. She's coming in on a 10. Woo, I'm getting married. So tell me this. How are you able to transcend from one emotion to that next emotion? How are you able to adapt? So these are the things that a lot of times different individuals that don't understand our craft, that's why they say the things that they say, is because they don't understand exactly how valuable and the things that we go through. So that's why I say we have to be one of the most credible people in our occupation in the world today, because we make people feel great about themselves. And the only thing, Tina, the only thing that could put a hair designer out of business is if all the mirrors were to go away.
Yep.
If there were no mirrors, think about it, that was a joke. If you didn't get that, if there was no mirrors, guess what? Yep. Or no cell phones or no pictures, guess what? Okay, I don't care so much about how it looks. No one's going to see anyway. But anyway, that was a joke. But that's the thing. So you look at all the emotions that we have to take on. You look at controlling our business, growing our business. you look at the math, you look at the geometry. That's a lot to take on. So if you look at it, I mean, we actually have that PhD right there. I mean, when it comes to life, because we do so much. So I just have to share that and put that out there because I don't know if anyone's ever thought of it that way, but we do a lot.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir, obviously. And, my husband, who just retired as a lawyer, has always said the smartest people he knows in this world are hairdressers. And exactly the reason that you said, because you're working with all walks of life. And so
Yes.
you learn so much from being around people, from relationships. And, I love what you said, a mentee is very good about constantly checking in. And the interesting thing is because when I talk to people that I'm mentoring, I'm like, check in with me. I want to hear your victories. Let me know.
Yeah.
And then it's crickets, and it's just like,
Yes.
no, check in, show me that you're interested. Maybe you're struggling. Just say, I'm struggling right now. Okay, great. Yeah. What can I do to help you to stop struggling, right? Through that process. So what's that one thing that will make you stop mentoring somebody? What you'll just move along in that process?
I think the only thing that will allow me personally myself to stop mentoring if the mentee decides that, hey, you know what, I just want to sever the relationship. If they decide to move on to someone else and, hey, we're good here, we're done, I could never stop. Because me stopping to me on someone is giving up, and I just don't want to give up. Will I give you space? Yes, I'll give you space, but I won't give up on you. And something, if I may have your permission to circle back around about being a mentee, is sometimes it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay. Show a little bit of vulnerability. It's okay. And I know we have this thing in the inside that we try to protect because we don't like to feel the hurt. But here's the thing. Again, pain always will leave you the most beautiful gift behind, along with the lesson. So I just want to say that too, being vulnerable.
Yeah, so powerful. Yes, that's the whole idea of why you need a mentor and why you need a coach. Like, just be honest, right, through that process. And
yes.
So let's talk about the three things as we start to close this out, because Sean and I also work on fixing your leadership. And I love when you're talking about learn how to manage space, learn how to manage inventory, and learn how to lead people. And I love that you said that, because I think most of the time people think that they have to manage people, right? That they have to constantly micromanage people through that process. And so what does really leading people mean to you? And what advice would you give not only a salon owner, a salon leader, but an up and coming leader in the company?
Well, one thing that I would say far as being a leader is give the leadership away.
Yeah.
Always make your followers feel as though they are leaders. Empower them. Empower them to be a leader. Show them how to be a leader. Show them, one, how to lead themselves. That's number one. And give the power away. But at the same time, while you're giving the power away, always be guiding. Have to guide. That's number two. And then the connection. That's number one, the connection. Number one, always connect. Check in. Hey, how you doing? How are things going today? What's going on? What can I help you with? So, and you look at the things a leader would say, how can I help? Be encouraging. I'm always here for you. Let's do this together. Those are the things that a leader could actually, there's some principles that a leader could go in and definitely make applicable. And if you take notice, what will end up happening is that the followers will definitely go through the wall. They wouldn't go anywhere. And if that follower decides to say, hey, you know what, I think I want to venture off on my own, leaders, salon owners should never take that personal. Look at it as though, hey, you know what, that's one of my eagles right there. They're ready to leave the nest and they're ready to fly. And always remember, you can't cage a free bird. No, you can't. So let them fly. But at the same time, while they're flying, always be there to guide them, to be there and educate system, culture, culture, culture. And that's one of the greatest things I can say about within the Paul Mitchell, the schools. The culture is so powerful. It is so strong. I mean, when you look at things like gathering guidelines, values versus behavior, our 13 golden rules. I mean, just that alone, just harboring that information alone and making it applicable, it's nowhere in the world that you can't go. Nowhere. And you can't succeed.
It's so funny because I always tell our students, I'm like, listen to what we're not really teaching you. Like, just watch how business is ran.
Yes.
You want to own your own business. And I love that you said something, and I want to add to it because I've been trying to say this statement is everything I do is I multiply leaders and empower people. I don't want to do it alone. I want to bring somebody with me. Someone was asking me today, how do you run your meetings that you do and how do you take notes? And I said, well, normally I have a second leader on the calls with me, and they're the ones usually taking notes while I'm talking. Right. And they're like, wow, you're bringing up somebody with you in every company that you own. Yes, I am. Right. I want to multiply leaders. That's how you build businesses. Right. And so you said something that hit home. And I want to say that everything I do now is I want to do something that will matter 1 billion years from now.
Yes.
And I feel like that's you, Aubrey, because you're really doing something meaningful. And you said something so huge and I agree, this is why I became a Paul Mitchell School owner. I felt like that was like one of the first companies that came out and added professionalism to the beauty industry. And I wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself. So as we close out and as people start to choose who they're going to partner with or allow to mentor them, right? Because right now there's been a mad exodus in the beauty industry, and these new stylists and brand new students coming out need to go shopping. They need to stop taking the first job that's available to them.
Yes.
And they need to look for high level leaders to be around them, right? To lead them. So what advice do you want to leave everyone with on this call that we haven't talked about so far?
Wow, that is huge. Again, it goes back to always be in a growth mindset. Just make sure, and just the word yet. If it's not happening now, just embed in your brain the word yet. Okay. 2, form relationships. Relationships are key. Foster the relationships. And it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay. Show a little vulnerability. Humility is definitely a must, and just being grateful. But last but not least, take advantage of your education. That's the biggest thing that I can say. Take advantage of your education. And if you're looking where to start, I'm going to plug this in, connecting to my future, whether it's digital or you have the paperback book. That's the holy grail right there. Everything that you need is right there in the book. Your mentors live there. Your blueprint lives there. Your game plan, your business. And for those of you that are looking to have your own business, you have a model right there. So if you look at the way things are ran in your school, whether it's in education or whether it's in the clinic classroom, everything's right there. Even just looking at phase 2, look at how things are done. Your blueprint is right there, and definitely make sure you connect with your mentors.
I love that. Yes. Follow the blueprint, right?
Yes. Follow the blueprint. Don't reinvent. Yes.
Follow the blueprint. I love that. Yes. And so how can people find you, Aubrey, and how can people connect with you?
Okay. So if you like to connect with me, which I would love, it is on Instagram, IG. It's Aubrey _Harley_pro. So AUBREY _HARLEY_PRO. At least give me anywhere from 24 hours to circle back around. That's something that I would definitely love to do, and make sure that I address all of your questions. If there's anything I can do to assist you in your career, please do not hesitate to reach out. That's what I'm here for. I just like to look at myself as that resource that can just help bridge to connect you to your success. And if I can't do it, believe it or not, I know several that can. And one of them is right here on this call now, and that's Tina Black. Yes.
Thank you, Aubrey. Yes, people can definitely reach out to you to go to the next level 100%. So you
Yeah.
are incredible. I love you, Aubrey. Thank you for being on this podcast today.
Thank you so much. God bless you and everyone. Until we see each other again, we want to wish you and your loved ones health, wealth, and prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you, Aubrey.